Higher education has such a higher purpose with our students, even our staff, just making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're taking care of the people that we're serving and our employees. Everyone has value.
Part of it is knowing the right questions to ask. Part of it is knowing that you've got a trusted team to take care of things. Even if you are just in finance like I am, you still have to partner with the facilities people and the real estate people and HR, different areas. You've got to understand what's going on with them and what their needs are.
Being of service. This is the heart of the roles we play in higher education. At the 2024 WACUBO Annual Conference at Disneyland in California, leaders and practitioners in administration came together to explore how they can dream, lead, and inspire others to serve the mission of this industry. Lupe Valencia, Deputy Chief Financial Officer and Chief Facilities Officer at the University of Texas at El Paso, recently served as president of the association and just turned the reins over to Michael Clune, who serves as Senior Associate Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer at the University of California, San Francisco. Howard sat down with the two of them at the annual conference to talk about service and what inspires them about being part of this extraordinary association that is committed to providing professional development and networking opportunities for business officers serving higher education in the West. Don't miss the opportunity to consider participating in next year's annual conference, taking place on the Big Island of Hawaii. You won't want to miss this experience. And now, Howard Teibel with Michael Clune and Lupe Valencia.
Welcome, Lupe, and welcome, Mike, to a podcast. We're sitting here in the exhibit hall at the 2024 WACUBO Annual Conference. How are you two doing right now?
Yes, we're doing well. Super excited. We have 900 people here.
Incredible. Yeah. How are you doing, Mike?
It's great. Great content, too, so far.
Yes.
So here's where we can start this conversation. Freeman Hrabowski. Unbelievable.
Yes.
I'd love to just hear your thoughts about what he did this morning and then what you took away from this. Because I think that was one of the most remarkable talks I've heard at this conferences over the years.
I was struck by how he really cares about people and invests in people. Kara talked about it a little bit in her session on Sunday. He kind of exudes a humility that I found really interesting in his approach to, how he's even engaging with the audience.
Yes, I would agree. I really enjoyed his conversation and the fact that higher education has such a higher purpose with our students, even our staff, just making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and making sure that we're taking care of the people that we're serving and our employees. Everyone has value, and I really appreciated that about his talk.
I took a bunch of notes, and one of the things he said is, you can never not lead, whether you know it or not. And the whether you know or not was like people are watching. He had so many what seemed obvious insights once he said them, but it's not so obvious in day-to-day because, we had these conversations about leadership and what does it really mean to lead. And I think what he did was he reminded people really why they're here. And it's so easy to forget. I mean, the work that the two of you do on a daily basis, you don't spend that much time with students, maybe at all. And I just find it so striking to be reminded about it, even though we are insulated very often from those experiences. I'm curious, when you think about when you walk away and how you might want to do something different as a result of what he shared, is there anything that comes to mind for the two of you?
I think he responded to a question about how do we think about the number of people out there who don't value higher education, who don't think higher education is worth it, and his suggestion that we need to kind of hold up a mirror and look at ourselves and, think about what we're doing and what the ways in which we might need to change. I think about that a little bit with, many of us are in central administration and we're viewed, as not worth it by, the departments sometimes. And I think, we need to approach it with that humility as well and say, what do we need to do differently in order to be seen as value?
I think for you, you and I are going to give a talk a little later tomorrow around service. And I kept looking over you and I kept seeing your head nod on so many things that he said today.
Right. I fully was immersed in his conversation because I think about when I walk into the room in my work every day that people are watching. We have student employees that are engaged, in our world. Not only the students that we're serving, but we also hire student employees. They admire us. And you have to take a moment and stop and have a conversation with them and ask them about what they're doing, what are they studying, and give them a little bit of mentorship. And that's how I try to engage with the students and have that connection, because I don't see the students out in the classroom every day, right? And so when he was talking about leadership, I think it is important for us to humble ourselves. There was that conversation about how do we, communicate the value of higher education. We also need to be able to communicate it well in a different tone potentially so that it's understood. But there's other ways to connect with students. And that is one of the ways that I choose to connect with the students. And it's just through the student employees that are around me. And also, I walk the campus a lot because of some of the roles that I have currently as interim chief facilities officer. And I stop and I talk to the students. Hi, how are you all doing? How's your day going? And it's just a random conversation, but it shows that you care. And so I think leadership comes in different forms, and it's not just about leading people, but showing leadership to students, even though we're probably people in just business suits to them, but, they do look up to us.
One of the things, Mike, that Lupe and I were talking about was this idea that, you have your competencies. Someone said, what do? You say, I am the vice president for finance administration. And maybe one of your people says, I'm a controller. And then there is, in the role that you play, remember you saying this to me, being a finance expert doesn't help me lead the police force. And it's very interesting to think about that, the identities that we hold, but then what we have to grow into as leaders. How long have you been in your current role at your institution?
Let's see, coming up, it's 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
But I've just got finance.
You do it just, okay.
Yeah.
So in some ways that allows you to focus in that one area, right?
Yes.
So you have a counterpart that has more of the administrative fund.
Well, my boss has administration, so
it's interesting. And has it always been in that structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
More personal question. How have you discovered that you had to grow in your role?
Well, I came up through budget and strategy, essentially, and so it was always a lot of fun thinking about what resources we had and how we're going to deploy them and advising the leadership on that. But when I moved into my current position, I got the controller's office, I got supply chain, I got risk management, and so whole new areas of things to learn. And I'm still learning after 4.5 years there. And I'm sure there are things that I will never fully understand. And part of it is knowing the right questions to ask. Part of it is knowing that you've got a trusted team to take care of things. Even if you are just in finance like I am, you still have to partner with facilities people and the real estate people and HR, different areas. You've got to understand what's going on with them and what their needs are.
Well, what I love that you just said is you don't have to be an expert.
No.
Matter of fact, to think you have to be an expert could easily take you off your game.
Yes.
You won't use your people. And I think this is something that you recognize in the role that you play.
Right.
Anything you want to say about that idea of, because I think what Mike's talking about is humility.
Right. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room.
Although the two of you are.
No. we have to surround ourselves. And I said this yesterday during my talk with Kara. We need to surround ourselves with brilliant people that are willing to move initiatives forward in a positive way, right? Our role as leaders are to build connections, help them, move initiatives forward, and potentially, remove roadblocks. right? And so, we can lead initiatives, and my job is to ensure that I make you successful. That is my role as a leader, to help you be successful and let me figure out what it is you need. You are the subject matter expert, and I'm just here trying to build a team that will bring a larger initiative forward.
Now, the last thing I'd love us to briefly talk about is, there's a transition that's going to be happening. We're at the annual meeting, and I think Tuesday, our annual conference on Tuesday, is when the mantle, a physical mantle, do you actually get the mantle? What's this year been like for you?
Well, it's been great. This group of members that I've been working with, the board, all the volunteers, everyone is so engaged. They're so committed. They're so dedicated. I can't tell you the camaraderie that exists with this group. It's just amazing. For me, it hasn't been a difficult job because of the fact that everyone is just willing to step in and lead. And that's what's important, to have people who are so dedicated and committed, and they say, I have your back. And so I've built such a great relationship with Mike because of that. If something is, just not going well and I'm not able to do something, I call Mike, and I know that he's willing to step in and do that. And that's just great leadership.
What are you looking forward to, Mike?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the Hawaii conference next year. I have been thinking a lot about, it's just a one-year presidency. It's not like it's not like there's going to be dramatic change. I'm looking forward to us continuing our success. We're coming off of a really great year for our annual conference, and as I mentioned, the incredible content that we've got here. But also very successful Women's Leadership Forum, a really successful Business Management Institute last summer. So continuing that energy, finding ways that we can work better together more, collaborate more effectively. And then I'm hoping that we can explore some additional inclusive practices for engaging our membership and all corners of our membership in our programming, in our efforts to put on that programming. And also, I keep going back to the content. We're barely 24 hours in, and I feel like, oh my gosh, we have this amazing content that we have to figure out how to spread further.
Because there's so many people that would benefit from this that are not physically here.
Yeah.
And I love that you're sharing this idea of how do you even bring greater inclusivity? Because inclusivity means so many different things. I think one thing I took away from Dr. Rabowski this morning was that there is a generation that doesn't have a lived experience about certain ways of being in the world. At the same time, there's an emerging generation that I don't fully appreciate. So to me, this is such an opportunity for our multi-generations to learn from each other. Like, what does the younger generation care about that they want to see here? But there's also things that they don't know that we know from the years of doing this. So I'm really excited about your leadership.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful to the two of you and how much, because this is above and beyond your day jobs. And I know this is not a trivial thing to do on top of your work. So I'm going to thank you on behalf of the whole association and all these people we're looking at out here, that they've got a place they can come together in many ways to breathe, find some time for themselves before they go back into the hard work. So great job, and thank you for coming and being part of this conversation.
You're welcome. We're happy to be here.